outsider. I'm an outsider too. She's flip-flopped on immigration, on gay rights, on trade policy, all across the board, guns, everything in between.
Secretary Clinton,
I don't want to hear it. I can't listen to this debate again. Do not play many more clips of this. I can only take so much. And yet she went basically unchallenged. It's unbelievable. You know, how are you going to be different from Obama? I'm a woman? You can't be serious. You know, the only fighting debate they had was, well, who could be the biggest gun control person? Poor Bernie Sanders, trying to stand up for rural Vermont, was just slaughtered over that debate. Hillary actually making the comment that the U.S. intervention in Libya was smart, power at its best. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe. And here's the saddest part, and I don't want to bring you bad news today. I am saying that if we are not vigilant as a country, this is the end of America as we know it. It just is. We are now on a path towards becoming Greece. All these great promises, free, with 20 trillion in debt, 120 trillion in unfunded liabilities, will steal it from the 1%, which would guarantee the 1% is going to hide their money, not invest it, and probably stop building businesses because they can't make any money at it any longer. It is going to make America Greece. It's going to hurt everybody. And all those people that think they're getting something for free, it's just not going to happen. You know, there was a report that no matter how unpopular Hillary is with the voters, the press, they're in the tank for her. Gateway pundit reporting, we'll ask Jamie about it later, that reporters in the press room, when he made that line about, I was sick of these damn emails, the old 73-year-old curmudgeon that arouses Joy Behar, socialist curmudgeon, audible clapping and laughter filled the press room after the Bernie Sanders enough of these emails moment. Quote, the entire press room exploded when Bernie said enough about Hillary's emails. Well, I thought the media was supposed to be fair and objective and balanced. So they don't want to do the job of getting into Hillary's emails. That's pretty well established. I want to tell you something. I get the consensus that Hillary won. Well, who did she defeat? Lincoln Chafee? I mean, I had him on my show at midnight last night. I felt sorry for him after I pounded on him. I did. It was like, it's like I almost took on like somebody that just wasn't prepared for prime time. In 1988, Republicans were derided. The open field of Democratic candidates then were called the Seven Dwarfs. You know, last night on the debate stage, we witnessed Hillary and the Four Dwarfs, except that last night, Bernie Sanders, O'Malley, and Webb and Chafee made the candidates in 1988 look like towering geniuses, as if they were Aristotle, Socrates, and Plato. It was unbelievable. Poor Lincoln Chafee, he called himself a block of granite last night. I'm like, listening to this, I'm like, oh, gosh, if that's granite, we're dead. We're doomed. We really are, and they can win, and I'll get to that later. He turned in a performance that was so pathetic. You ever see the show with our good friend Jeff Foxworthy, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? I think fifth graders could have out-debated these people last night. You know, the humane thing to do would have been for Anderson Cooper to have gently led the pitiful and weak and confused Chafee off the stage and put him out of his painful misery. And then there was Jim Webb. You know, he's trying to be somewhat reasonable and defend to a room of radical, crazed, left-wing maniacs why he was something less than a crazed left-wing maniac. And he was in a state of near constant anger last night, mad that he hadn't been given enough time to speak, and foolishly using his allotted time to complain he wasn't given enough allotted time. And then you got Martin O'Malley. How did this guy ever become the Maryland governor? I'm sitting here saying a former third-rate governor, he presented himself as a former third-grade governor. It was that bad. He's about as authentic as a $3 bill. He's tightly wound and nervous and intense and programmed, and he's going nowhere fast. And then you got, the socialist, avowed democratic socialist himself, a curmudgeon, snarling, old, radical, obsessive, ranting against corporate America, Wall Street, the wealthy, the top 1%. It's like Bernie was trying to go back and remember the good old days of Woodstock. I got the feeling that he thinks a hell of a lot better of socialist countries in Europe than he does the United States of America. It kind of explains why he's so popular among the Democratic Socialist base. So you have the clownish foursome that Hillary debated last night, and okay, to her credit, she beat them. To her credit, she won by default. To her credit, she took advantage of the utter pathetic weaknesses of her opponents, as inauthentic as she is. Last night, being aggressive and even showed a little bit of humor, prosecuted her case with ease, moving hard left as hard as she possibly could get. But I got to tell you something. There's lessons to be drawn here. And I want to start with this one, and I'm running out of time here. Even as a fierce critic of the Democratic Party, it's jarring to me to see how far left, radical, Marxist, socialist, statist, use whatever term you want to use, this party has now become. It is the de facto socialist party in America. And the person who most inspires that base identifies himself as an avowed socialist. And beyond that, we heard all five of them obsess on the same things: empowering government to steal from fellow Americans, income inequality, obsessed about the number of people in prison, obsessed about Americans having the ability to defend themselves, obsessed about climate change without ever once explaining how to cut carbon emissions when we're the worst offenders in the world, and yet very little about how to deal with North Korea and Putin and Iran and ISIS and Al-Qaeda and repairing damaged relationships in the Middle East. They are so radical in their views. This is a huge, significant moment in American history, because if we allow this radicalism to continue another 4 years, I think we are at a point we will never recover, and that the United States, the once great free bastion, land of the free, home of the brave, God's grace to mankind, will cease to exist as we know it. Irreparable harm will come, and all the predictable consequences of socialism, as evidenced by you pick the country, inability to pay for the promises made. And here's the thing: some of you believe these promises. They will never be fulfilled because we'll never be able to afford it. They all lied to you last night, every one of them. All right, football this weekend.